Len McCluskey says that your handling of all this has been a disgrace. What do you say to him?
Well, I don't really care what Len McCluskey thinks about this. What I care about is the Labour Party being run without fear or favour towards any one individual. And what I'm not going to have is the kind of behaviour that there has been in Falkirk. Behaviour where people have been signed up to be members of the Labour Party without them necessarily knowing it. All kinds of practices which we're just not going to have in our party. It's my responsibility to make sure that our parliamentary candidates are selected in a fair and transparent way. And frankly, instead of starting to defend what happened in Falkirk, Len McCluskey should be facing up to his responsibilities, and his responsibilities are for the behaviour of anybody who is part of his union.
So spell it out for me. What has Unite done and how bad is it as far as you're concerned?
The reason we've suspended 2 individuals, and there's obviously a disciplinary process ongoing, is that we had evidence of people being signed up to be members of the Labour Party without their knowledge, being pressurised to be members of the Labour Party without their knowledge, being pressurised to vote for particular candidates on condition that they sign up to the Labour Party. We're not having those practices in the Labour Party. We're just not having them. And instead of Len McCluskey defending that sort of machine politics, he should actually be standing up for a different sort of politics. And I'm sending a very, very clear message. I'm going to defend the hard-working members of trade unions who are proud to be part of the Labour Party, the hard-working Labour Party members and all the Labour supporters around the country.
So let's be clear, you are accusing Len McCluskey of trying to subvert the whole process, not just in Falkirk, but there have been reports of in other constituencies, the whole process of selecting candidates deliberately to try and extend their influence illegitimately within the Labour
I'm talking
Party.
very specifically at this stage about Falkirk and the practices in Falkirk. And look, the responsibility of Len McCluskey is to face up to what people who are part of Unite have been doing in Falkirk.
Do you think he knew about it?
Well, I don't know what he knew about it, but what I want to be clear about is that people should not be behaving that way in the Labour Party, from the trade unions as part of the Labour Party. We're not going to have it. That's why we've suspended these 2 individuals. That's why we've taken the action that we have. I really value the fact that the Labour Party is linked to ordinary working men and women all around the country who are members of trade unions, people who work in shops, people who drive buses, people who work in the health service. But I'm going to defend their honour. I'm going to defend their integrity by taking the right steps when I see evidence of wrongdoing.
Well, why don't you publish the report about Falkirk then?
Well, at this stage, we had confidential interviews. We've got a disciplinary process ongoing. We've got to observe the proper procedures. I'm telling you what's in the report. I'm clear about what's in the report. I'm clear about the wrongdoing that there's been. We've got to follow the proper processes, and my party is going to do that. But let nobody be in any doubt. I would not have taken the action that was necessary along with the Labour Party General Secretary if I wasn't deeply concerned by what's happened in Falkirk. That's why we suspended the local party, because of the evidence we had. That's why we've suspended those 2 individuals, and that's why we've also ended the scheme that has been abused to allow this to happen. Look, my message to the public is very clear. I run the Labour Party in the way that is right, that is fair and transparent. And whatever Len McCluskey says or anybody else, that is not going to sway me from that course.
Isn't the problem that this arose because you were considered to be the union's man? They helped you win the election. They were crucial in you winning the leadership election. Unite is the biggest donor to the Labour Party. Doesn't this all grow out of the fact that the perception is you would not be strong enough to stand up to them? That's why it's got to this stage.
Over the last 3 years, without fear or favour, I have set out what I think. And over those 3 years, Len McCluskey and I have disagreed on many occasions. He disagreed with the stance we took on public sector pay, putting jobs before pay in the public sector. When he spoke out against members of my shadow cabinet outrageously, in my view, I made clear that I was not going to tolerate this behaviour. And now on this occasion in Falkirk, I'm clear about what needs to happen. So I've been very consistent. I stand up for doing the right thing. That's what I've done throughout my leadership. That's what I'll continue to do.
The problem is Unite's the biggest donor by far to the Labour Party. You can't just tell them what to do, can you? You have to listen to them.
Well, I think I've been pretty clear and pretty robust about what needs to happen. But let me be clear about this. These are ordinary men and women who exercise a choice to be part of the Labour Party and part of the Labour movement. And I defend their right to do that. Now, of course we need reform of party politics in terms of funding. I've said before that we should cap the big donations we get from business and the trade unions. But when it comes to ordinary men and women who pay a few pounds a year to be part of the Labour Party, I think at a time when politics is being seen as out of touch with people, I think it's very, very important that that is allowed to continue.
Is this a struggle for who actually controls the Labour Party? And are you winning it or are you losing it?
It's not a struggle. It's absolutely clear who controls the Labour Party. I do. and I'm going to carry on doing that. And I'm going to do it in the way that I think is right, that I think is transparent, that I think is fair, and that I think upholds the integrity of the Labour Party.
So what happens next in this?
What happens next is we're going to take the right action. And there's going to be no question about taking the right action, and without fear or favour, whatever Len McCluskey says or anybody else.
Are you worried, though, that this has just reinforced the image that you are not tough enough in the end to be Prime Minister?
Not at all. Look, I've taken very tough action. I've taken the toughest action. That's why, unfortunately, in my view, Len McCluskey seems so angry about this, because he knows we've taken incredibly tough action. But frankly, I don't care whether Len McCluskey's angry. I'm going to do the right thing.